They wanted a small backup. Humanity sent a full war legion. Purple fire crawled across the sky of Bastion 9 as defense towers fell one by one. Governor Ral Keth stood on the command balcony and watched his world burn. On the hollow screens around him, each tower flashed green, then red, then vanished. The enemy did not send demands or threats. The enemy only came. The myriad swarm poured from the clouds like black rain. Living ships stabbed down through the atmosphere. Six-limbed creatures ripped through walls and armor. Fields became craters. Streets became smoke. Ral had been a soldier before he was a governor. He had seen sieges and fear. But this was different. The myriad did not fight for land or honor. They fought to consume. Inner shield ring is weakening, his comms officer called. Governor, central grid will fail in 3 hours at most. Ral forced his lungs to slow. Panic would not help, but he had one thing left he could do. Open a priority channel to the Galactic Concord Council, he said. Level black. The officer obeyed. A circle of light opened in the air before him, stretching into a window. The smoke of Bastion 9 faded, replaced by the bright chamber of Lumen Core, capital of the Concord. Governor Ral Keth of the Archon Dominion, a tall silver figure, announced. Director Thuras Vel of the Valerie raised all 4 hands. You come before the council in emergency session. State your need. Ral's need was simple: time and safety. Things he could not give alone. The myriad swarm has entered our inner systems, his translator said in clear Concord standard. Our fleets are scattered. Our towers fall faster than we can rebuild. Bastion 9 will not hold without help. The chamber grew quiet. Some delegates looked away. Some whispered to their aides. Every Concord fleet is already in motion, Thuras said at last. We guard the trade borders. Our forces are thin. We have little to send. Then Bastion 9 will fall, Ral answered. When it falls, the route to your core worlds will be open. The myriad will not stop. You know this. Silence pressed on the room. There may be a minor reserve, Thuras said. His eyes moved to the back of the chamber. A small, uncommitted force. Many heads turned. To the humans. Their representative did not wear robes. She wore a plain dark suit with a small blue-green symbol on the chest. Ambassador Amina Rios rose from her seat. Director Thuras, she asked, are you asking Earth for military support? We ask if your world can spare a contingent, Thuras replied. A regiment, perhaps. A few hundred soldiers. Enough to help the Archons evacuate their civilians. A few hundred, Ral thought. He needed a wall of ships, a sea of guns. But he would take anything. Amina looked at him. She saw the broken horn on his head, the smoke behind him, the dull shine of a man who had not slept in days. How many do you believe you need? She asked softly. Ral's throat felt dry. A brigade would hold longer, his translator said. 500. 1,000. Enough to buy us time to move the children and elders away from the line. The other delegates watched Amina. Humans had only joined the Concord 15 years ago. A new, strange species. For a long moment, she said nothing. Give us 2 standard days, she said at last. You will have your reinforcements. Relief hit Ral, so hard his knees almost bent. The Archon Dominion will not forget this, Ambassador Rios. 1,000 human soldiers could change everything. Amina gave a tight smile. They will come, she said. Be ready to receive them. She sat and opened a secure channel to Earth. Around her, the other delegates relaxed. The council had acted. The Archons would not be alone. A token human force would arrive, stand on the walls, and perhaps slow the swarm. None of them understood what had actually just happened. They had not asked for a token. They had just given humanity permission to go to war. Amina Rios stepped into the quiet of the human embassy and sealed the doors behind her. The noise of the Concord Council faded, replaced by the soft hum of secure systems. She removed her diplomatic badge, placed it on the table, and activated a dark, hexagonal console marked Earth Priority Link, Level 0. The screen lit up with a cold blue glow. A man appeared, broad shoulders, gray at the temples, eyes sharp enough to cut steel. Fleet Marshal Elias Ward, commander of the United Earth Union Defense Command. Ambassador, he said, voice steady. Your message came through. How bad is it? Amina turned slightly, so he could see the burning world behind her on the hollow display. Bad, she said. The Archons are collapsing. The myriad swarm has eaten 3 worlds. Bastion 9 will be next. They requested a battalion. Ward raised an eyebrow. 1,000 troops. Yes, Amina replied. They think that will hold the line. Ward studied her expression for a moment. He could read her the way an old soldier reads terrain. You don't believe 1,000 is enough. I've seen the reports, she said. Against the swarm? No. 1,000 would die buying minutes, not hours. Ward exhaled slowly. He tapped a panel near his console. Behind him, the camera widened, revealing a massive war room, glowing holomaps, officers moving in coordinated lines, deployment windows flashing red. I need authority, Ward said quietly. Real authority, not diplomatic gestures, not committee limits. Amina met his gaze without blinking. Fleet Marshal, I'm giving you complete operational freedom. The Council expects a small reinforcement. I am authorizing you to send anything and everything you decide is needed. The war room fell silent. Then Ward smiled, but it was not a gentle smile. It was the smile of a man who had spent decades preparing for a nightmare just like this. Understood, Ambassador, he said. 2 days. 1.5, Amina replied. Faster, if possible. Ward nodded once and turned away. Activate Task Force Titan, he commanded. Full mobilization. I want the 3rd and 9th Expeditionary Corps. The 1st Orbital Armor Brigade. Raven-class Strike Wings. The Solaris Carrier Group. All frontline med and support divisions. Prepare hyperspace gates for mass deployment. Officers scrambled, lines of data surging across the hollow screens. Amina watched it all quietly. Humans had never been invited to provide this kind of force before. Most species still imagined Earth as a small, stubborn world still learning how to stand among giants. But humans had grown up fighting something far scarier than aliens. Themselves. Ward's adjutant turned to him. Sir, Concord expects a brigade at most. If we send all this. Ward cut her off. Concord asked for help. We're giving them victory. He turned back to Amina. When we arrive, the Council will be surprised. Amina gave a small, almost mysterious smile. They'll be shocked. But they asked. Politically, we're clear. Ward nodded again. We will deploy a Legion strength force. 50,000 combat personnel. Another 20,000 support. And enough firepower to carve the swarm out of that sector. Good, Amina said softly. Because Bastion 9 is hours from collapse. The secure link disconnected. The blue screen faded. In the silence that followed, Amina allowed herself one breath of relief. Not because humans were going to war, but because she knew what it meant when they did. When humans moved in force. When they brought everything. When they arrived not as diplomats, but as warriors. The galaxy always changed afterward. The orbit of Bastion 9 had been quiet for nearly an hour. Too quiet, in Commander Terrell Voss's opinion. He stood at the center of the Archon cruiser Shield of Dawn, tail stiff with unease, watching sensor readings dance across the projection screens. Any sign of myriad ships? He asked. None, Commander, replied his sensor officer, a young Archon whose frills trembled with stress. The swarm usually hits in waves, but this pause is unnatural. Terrell was about to respond when an alarm shrieked across the bridge. Hyperspace breach, unknown mass. Hyperspace breach, unknown mass. Multiple signatures. Growing. Spreading. Report. Terrell barked, gripping the railing. The sensor officer stared at her display as if it were lying to her. Commander, I'm reading 10 hyperspace exits. No, 30. Wait, 50. This can't be right. It's still counting. Terrell's pulse quickened. Have the myriad flanked us? Are these enemy bioships? She swallowed hard. Negative, sir. These are metal hulls. Clean drive signatures. Not biological. Commander, they're broadcasting human codes. The bridge fell silent. Humans? That many? Identify the largest ship, Terrell ordered. A massive vessel emerged from hyperspace, dwarfing every Archon ship in orbit. Its hull was matte black, layered with armored plates and glowing engine rings. Around it, carriers, destroyers, and escorts snapped into formation with mechanical precision. Human flagship UEU Resolute, the comms officer confirmed. They're requesting a direct link. Put them through, Terrell said, trying, and failing, to keep the disbelief out of his voice. The hologram activated. A tall human in a dark military uniform appeared, arms behind his back, posture carved from iron. His eyes were cold, focused, and calculating. "Commander Terrell Voss," he said in fluent Archon. "I am Fleet Marshal Elias Ward of the United Earth Union. Task Force Titan has arrived." Terrell opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Finally he managed. "Marshal Ward, we requested a battalion. 1,000 troops. A small reinforcement." Ward showed no reaction. "And you will receive reinforcements," he said. "Approximately 50,000 frontline soldiers, 20,000 support staff, 6 capital groups, for carrier wings, 1 orbital armor brigade, and 22,000 drones." Terrell blinked. Once. Twice. "Marshal," he said slowly, "this is not a reinforcement. This is a full legion," Ward finished. "Yes." Behind him, human officers moved with organized urgency. Tactical maps rotated. Drop pads glowed. Weapons loaded signals flashed green like a wave. Terrell turned to his viewport just in time to see a storm descend. Hundreds of human dropships broke formation and dove toward Bastion 9's surface in perfect lines. Sleek fighters escorted them, engines burning blue and white against the planet's dark clouds. "Marshal," Terrell whispered, "the Council told us to expect a small force." Ward nodded once. "I know. This is more firepower than the entire Archon Dominion deployed to defend our borders." "I know that as well." Terrell swallowed hard. "Then why did you bring so much?" Ward's answer was simple. "Because 1,000 soldiers would die holding a single street. A legion will take back your entire world." The humans did not wait for speeches or approval. Their carriers opened. Their fighters launched. Their gunships fell into the atmosphere like burning stars. The Archons on the bridge watched the display in awe and disbelief. One officer whispered, "This is impossible. No species moves this fast." Terrell stared at the incoming human fleet, his heart pounding, his mind struggling to understand. He had asked for a lifeline. He received a tidal wave. He had called for help. Humanity had come like a storm. Dawn on Bastion 9 looked wrong. The sky should have been pale gold, the lights soft against the crystal leaf trees. Instead, the horizon glowed a sickly blue, pulsing like a bruise as myriad spores drifted across the plains. Sergeant Noah Cade crouched behind a slab of broken Archon stonework, his armor muddy from overnight patrols. The surface trembled under his boots as distant explosions echoed through the valley. "All squads are in position," he said into his helmet mic. "Line is steady." Private Mara Iqbal popped up beside him, her visor reflecting the burning clouds. "Sarge, is it true the swarm attacks when the sun rises?" "They like bright light," Noah said. "Confuses some targeting systems. But not ours." He tapped his helmet. Humans didn't rely on eyes. Their suits ran thermal overlays, motion scanning, and predictive tracking. Dawn wouldn't save the swarm today. Around him, the 3rd Expeditionary Corps spread across the ridge, Marines in dark armor, heavy weapon teams setting up rail emplacements, quadrones circling like metallic hawks. Several Archon soldiers watched the humans with wide eyes, clearly unused to such rapid, silent preparation. Archon advisor Sierra Tal approached Noah with her feathered crest flat. "Sergeant, the valley is unusually quiet." "It always is before something breaks," Noah replied. He wasn't wrong. The sensors pinged first, tiny blips that multiplied and merged into one massive wave. Movement, called corporal haze from the spotting tower. Huge movement, coming over the ridge. Gods, they're everywhere. Noah switched his visor to long range. The valley shifted. The ground itself moved. The myriad swarm poured over the hills like a boiling tide, thousands of chitin-plated creatures racing on 6 blade legs, their mandibles clattering, their bodies glowing with faint bioenergy. They jumped, crawled, and climbed over each other in a single living mass. Mara swallowed. "Sarge, that's a lot." "Focus," Noah said. "We trained for this." The myriad rushed forward, fast, silent, relentless. 500 meters. 300. 100. Lieutenant Brandt's voice crackled through comms. "All units, fire at will. Make them regret stepping foot on our ridge." Human rifles answered first. A wall of hypervelocity fire roared out, each round like a miniature meteor. Myriad bodies cracked open, limbs flying, ichor splashing across rocks. Heavy rail cannons kicked in, sending glowing slugs that tore straight lines through the swarm. Drone clusters dropped out of the sky, releasing smart charges that exploded midair and showered the creatures with molten metal. But the myriad never slowed. They crashed forward, running over their own dead, climbing up the ridge in a frenzy. The swarm was a black river of teeth and bone. Sira Tal watched in horror. This is where they always break our lines, when they reach 100 meters. Not today, Noah said. At 80 meters, the automated turrets activated. Hidden under rocks, sand, and false cover, dozens of compact guns rose from the soil and unleashed perfect streams of fire. No recoil, no hesitation, seamless precision. Each turret tracked dozens of targets at once. The myriad hit a wall of death. Creatures shrieked and folded. Entire rows collapsed. The swarm stumbled, but still tried to surge through. Noah's rifle overheated. He swapped it out in a single smooth motion and kept firing. Mara shouted, "Reloading. Covering you." Noah replied, blowing apart 3 myriad before they reached the first defense barrier. 20 minutes passed in fire and thunder. The ridge shook under the bodies piling at its feet. The smell of burning chitin filled the air. The sun rose higher, lighting the battlefield in bright, ugly colors. Then Noah noticed something. The swarm was slowing. The endless push was stopping. Myriad creatures hesitated, stepped over the dead, then backed away, a behavior Noah had only seen in simulations. "They're breaking," Hayes yelled. "They're actually retreating." Noah exhaled hard. "Hold the line. Don't chase. Make them run." The swarm scattered. Some crawled over the hill they came from. Others simply collapsed where they stood, twitching. Silence rolled over the ridge. Mara lowered her rifle, hands shaking. "Sarge, we did it." Sira Tal approached, her crest high in shock. "In all our wars," she whispered, "the myriad have never been stopped in open ground. They always overrun us. Always. But you humans." She looked at the valley floor, now a dark carpet of broken, smoking bodies. "You turn them back." Noah checked his ammo, checked his team, then looked toward the sky where the human carriers floated like silent giants. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Humans don't stop at surviving." He reloaded. We hit back. The victory on the ridge didn't slow the myriad for long. Their hives pulsed across the system like infected wounds, each one birthing fresh horrors, each one preparing to launch new waves at Bastion 9. But humans had not come to merely hold ground. They had come to break the enemy. On the dark rocky moon called Asterol 4, a myriad spawning fortress clung to a crater like a giant, living tumor, its walls pulsing, its tunnels glowing faint blue as thousands of fresh broodlings hatched inside. The Archons had tried to assault it twice. Both attempts ended in silence. But the humans had a different approach. Colonel Talia Wren, armored and steady as stone, stood strapped inside a drop pod as it screamed through the thin moon atmosphere. Around her, dozens more pods fell in tight formation like falling meteorites. "Impact in 10 seconds, the pod AI announced. Talia braced. The pod slammed into the ground with a force that rattled her teeth. Explosive bolts fired, blowing the door clear. Her boots hit the dusty ground. "Go. Spread out," she ordered. Marines burst from their pods, forming squads in seconds. Their armor lights glowed icy blue against the black rocks. Ahead of them, the myriad fortress pulsed like a beating heart. And then the screaming started. Myriad drones poured from the openings, fast, spiked, and hungry. "Contact!" shouted Lieutenant Gage. Multiple clusters incoming. The creatures charged across the crater, climbing over each other in a frenzy. But the humans didn't dig in. They advanced. Heavy gunners dropped to one knee and unleashed streams of rail fire, tearing entire sections from the swarm. Shock drones swept overhead, firing microblasts that turned myriad flesh into ash. Still the enemy swarmed, desperate to protect their spawning grounds. "Engineer teams," Talia commanded, "move. We're not here to fight forever. We're here to end this." A squad of engineers sprinted past the Marines, carrying thick cases of shaped charges. Lieutenant Vera Holt led them, her voice calm. "We've located 3 primary support nodes," she reported. "Blow those, and the whole structure collapses inward. Do not get trapped inside." Marines formed a defensive ring, shooting anything that tried to break through toward the engineers. The fight turned brutal and close. A myriad brute leapt from a ridge, claws extended, But Noah caught it mid-air with a point-blank slug that detonated half its body. Mara's squad fired flares into a cluster of crawlers, buying the engineers another precious minute. Inside the fortress tunnels, Vera planted the final charge, breathing hard. "All charges set," she said. "Detonation ready. Everyone fall back," Talia ordered. "Move to extraction point." The battlefield shifted into controlled chaos as the humans retreated in perfect order. Myriad creatures chased them, shrieking, but drone wings swooped down, dropping timed explosives that slammed into the ground between human and enemy, creating a wall of fire. Talia was the last to step onto the extraction shuttle. She turned toward the fortress one final time. "Vera," she said, "light it." A second later, Asterol erupted. The fortress convulsed as each charge detonated deep inside its living structure. Organic beams snapped. Walls buckled. Spawning pools ruptured. A wave of blue-green fire rolled through the complex. Then the entire hive collapsed inward, crushed under its own failing body. Silence replaced the screams. For hours later, the full human strike force was safely back in orbit with only minor injuries. Not a single Marine had been lost. Other strike missions were already underway. Human armor brigades ambushed Myriad convoys, burning their supply biomass before it could be used. Raven Strike Wing hunted down mobile spore ships, hitting them with hyper-precise rail shots. Black Ops teams boarded Myriad command nodes, stole navigation patterns, and set reactors to overload before vanishing into space. The Archons, watching from a distance, could not understand it. Their wars were slow, patient, defensive. Humans were something else entirely. Commander Terrell Voss watched the growing list of human victories on the holotable aboard the Resolute. His frills twitched in disbelief. "You destroy a hive here, a convoy there, a command node in deep space," he said. "Each blow weakens them. Each strike cuts off their strength." Ward nodded. "That's the point. But how do your people fight like this?" Terrell asked quietly. "It is as if you have spent centuries practicing for a war that never happened." Ward's expression tightened. "It did happen," he said. "Just not in your records." And Terrell realized something then. Something uncomfortable and ancient. Humans were not simply brave. They were not simply clever. They were trained by their own history to fight enemies that never stopped coming. The Myriad thought they were facing prey. Instead, they were facing a species that had survived every nightmare it ever created. And now humanity was bringing those lessons to the stars. For 3 days, the galaxy trembled as Task Force Titan ripped through Myriad positions across the system. Every hive destroyed weakened the swarm. Every convoy burned starved their armies. Every captured node shattered their coordination. But the Myriad were not finished. Not yet. Inside the Resolute's command center, alarms flared bright red as sensor officers scrambled to their stations. "Marshal Ward," Captain Jonah Stavros said, voice shaking. "We have a massive hyperspace disturbance at the system edge." Ward stepped forward, jaw clenched. "Show me." The star map expanded, then bloomed into a field of crimson. Not one ship, not 10, not even 50. More than 200 Myriad bioships erupted into real space, their bodies glowing with sickly blue veins, their tendrils whipping in silence. Each one larger, meaner, and more armored than the units humanity had fought so far. Jonah swallowed hard. "Sir, this is their entire remaining fleet. All of it. They're desperate," Ward said. "Cornered animals bite hardest." The Myriad ships began forming a mass, writhing together in a growing spiral. Energy rippled across the swarm like a storm cloud gathering thunder. "They're charging their main bioweapons," Jonah warned. "Range decreasing fast." Ward tapped the ship-wide channel. His voice carried through every corridor, every cockpit, every deck in the human fleet, and across all allied ships. "All units, this is Fleet Marshal Ward. The Myriad are making their final push. If they break through our line, Bastion, 9, and the Concord core worlds fall. We cannot retreat. We will not retreat." He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. "We end the swarm here." Across Bastion 9's orbit, Allied ships shifted into a layered sphere, Archons forming the outer ring, Valerie and Kestrel vessels filling the gaps, human battle groups forming a dense core ready to pivot and reinforce. The Myriad fleet surged forward. Their weapons screamed to life. torrents of corrosive beams and explosive spore torpedoes streaking through space. The outer line shook. An Archon cruiser collapsed in flames, torn open like wet paper. A Kestrel shield barge cracked under the assault. But the human core held firm, counterfire cutting brilliant arcs of light across the black sky. "Hold your fire," Ward ordered calmly. "Let them get closer." "Closer?" Jonah stared. "Sir, they're within devastating range." "I know." The Myriad didn't fight with strategy. They fought with speed and hunger. Ward needed their entire fleet to commit, to close every escape path. "Now," Ward said, "all ships, fire at will." The heavens detonated. Human rail cannons unleashed storms of hypervelocity slugs, each one punching through multiple bioships in a perfect line. Plasma lances cut glowing tunnels through myriad armor. Missiles spiraled out, breaking apart into clusters that tore living hulls into shreds. The Myriad staggered, but they didn't fall. The largest bioships, a monstrous dozen of them, pushed forward, growing brighter with every passing second. "They're coordinating around something," Jonah said. "A central core, a queen unit?" Ward focused on a single massive icon pulsing in the center of the swarm. A colossal creature with a glowing organ that radiated psychic control. "There," Ward said. "Their command node. Sir, if we target that ship, we'll expose our flanks. If we don't, we lose the battle. Concentrate all human firepower on that node." Every human capital ship obeyed. More than 70 human vessels turned their guns on a single point. A storm of kinetic energy, plasma fire, and guided missiles slammed into the Myriad command node. Its armor convulsed. Its regenerative tissues tried to seal the wounds. But the humans hit harder than it could heal. The node cracked, split, then exploded, a shockwave ripping through the swarm like lightning tearing open a dark sky. Myriad ships reeled, many dropping power immediately. The intricate psychic web connecting them collapsed. For the first time, the swarm showed something like confusion. Some vessels drifted. Some turned. Some simply froze and trembled. Allied fleets, push forward. Ward commanded. Archon's firing arcs closed around the edges. Valery precision destroyers knifed into weak points. Human fighters swarmed the broken enemy like steel bees hunting dying wasps. One by one, Myriad ships fell. An hour later, the last bioship exploded under combined fire. Silence washed over the battlefield, broken only by the static of damaged comms and the low hum of cooling weapons. Jonah exhaled heavily. "Marshal, the Myriad fleet is gone. All of it." Ward stood straight, jaw tight, eyes still scanning for threats that no longer existed. "Then signal all vessels," he said quietly. "Stand down from battle stations. Begin rescue operations." Jonah blinked. "Rescue, sir? Even for the Myriad?" "They're done," Ward said. "We don't finish wars by becoming monsters." The battle was over, but the message had just begun to spread. Humanity had faced the swarm's full strength and destroyed it. 3 months after the last Myriad ship dissolved into drifting debris, the Galactic Concord met again on Lumen Core. But this time, the chamber felt different. Gone was the fear-soaked panic that filled their last emergency session. Gone was the uncertainty that ruled their whispered debates. Now the atmosphere carried something heavier, respect, mixed with caution. Delegates from 12 species gathered around the floating council ring. At the center stood 3 humans. Ambassador Amina Rios, calm and composed. Fleet Marshal Elias Ward, posture straight as a spear. Sergeant Noah Cade, representing the soldiers who fought on Bastion 9. Director Thuras Vel opened the session with all 4 hands raised. "The Concord honors humanity," he declared. "Your intervention saved the Archon Dominion and shielded the core worlds. The swarm has been destroyed. For this, we offer our deepest thanks." A soft murmur filled the hall. Archons pressed their crests flat in gratitude. Valery bowed their reflective heads. Even the stoic Kestrel flicked their luminous feathers in respect. But with praise came unease. Ambassador Leary of the Veil leaned forward, her voice trembling slightly. "Humanity's strength is far beyond what we expected. You mobilized more soldiers in 48 hours than most of us could gather in years. You destroyed an entire hive fleet. How?" She hesitated. "How can we be certain such power will never be turned against the Concord?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Amina stepped forward. We understand your fear, she said simply. Humans have lived with that same fear for centuries, but toward ourselves. She gestured toward Ward. We built great armies because we had to survive our own history. We created rules and checks because we once nearly erased our own planet. Our strength exists alongside our restraint. Ward spoke next, his voice low, steady. We didn't come to Bastion 9 to conquer. We came because innocent people were dying and no one else could stop it. He tapped the control, and a hollow appeared. Images of wounded Archon children, rescued civilians, and medical teams working side by side across species. That, Ward said, is why we fight. Council whispers quieted. Then Noah Cade stepped forward. A simple sergeant. Worn armor. No rank prestige. Yet every delegate leaned in, the way warriors listen to warriors. I was on that ridge, Noah said. I saw the Archons hold their ground even when they were terrified. I saw Veil medics helping humans they'd never met. I saw Kestrel pilots pull my squad from the jaws of the swarm. He paused. We didn't fight for territory or glory. We fought because they needed us. That's all. Silence filled the chamber again, softer this time, thoughtful instead of afraid. Director Thuras finally spoke. The Concord proposes a vote, he announced, to elevate humanity to strategic partner status. Equal authority in defense matters. Equal trust. Equal responsibility. One by one, the representatives cast their votes. Archon Dominion, yes. Valerie Assemblage, yes. Kestrel Triad, yes. Veil Harmony, yes. Every species joined the chorus. Unanimous. The chamber lights shifted to a warm gold, signaling the decision. Amina bowed her head. Humanity accepts. Ward stepped back beside her. Noah let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Hours later, aboard a sleek transport leaving Lumen Core, Noah sat with his squad in the lounge, watching the stars drift by. The hum of the engines felt strangely peaceful. Mara Iqbal nudged him. So, think they'll call us again? Noah stared at the glowing trails left by passing ships. Maybe. Maybe not. Would you go? She asked. Noah smiled faintly. If they need us? Yeah, because now they know what they're asking for. Mara chuckled. A battalion? He shook his head. No. When they call humanity, they're calling a legion. Through the viewport, Earth came into view, small, blue, peaceful. Worth fighting for. Worth protecting. Worth showing the galaxy what humans could do when pushed to the edge. And now, the galaxy knew. Humans did not just bring reinforcements. They brought history, fire, and every lesson carved into their bones. The galaxy would remember the swarm, but it would never forget the day humanity answered the call and changed everything.